These human interest stories we've been running lately have caused a lot of comment. How do you like this one? Man gives seat in streetcar. Woman is so surprised she faints. Woman recovers and thanks man. He's so surprised that he faints.
Oh.
Well, what's the matter with that?
Why, Dad, it's so old it creaks.
Oh, but it'll attract attention, though.
Well, I think it's about time somebody talked about courtesy. When I came home on the streetcar today, there were men sitting down. Not one offered to give me his seat.
Oh, Mom, you were just downtown to a show. Well, those men had been working hard all day.
That's typical of the way people act today, especially young people. Why, in my day...
Sit tight, Mom. Here we go again.
Well, joke all you like, but the older generation knows its manners. They learned young, and they didn't forget.
Tell me, Dad, did you sleep with your wings under the covers or over?
Well, I'm not saying we're angels, but I do say we are courteous.
Don't rise, Dad. And you don't have to bother either, Sir Walter Raleigh.
Oh, why do I have to get up when she enters the room? There are plenty of chairs.
Well, you should always be a gentleman or a lady. Not because the other person is, but because you are.
That should hold you.
But she's no lady. She's my sister.
Seriously, Tommy, courtesy is a very important thing.
Why?
Well, Tommy, courtesy is common consideration for others.
I'm as courteous as anyone.
Yes, on the surface.
On the surface? Well, isn't that where courtesy belongs?
Well, yes, but courtesy is the one ground upon which all men meet as equals.
How does that prove which generation is...
Well, I think I'll let you prove that yourselves. And if you can, I'll feature the story in the paper.
All right, Dad, we'll call your bluff.
But I think I'll send out one of my own reporters to cover the older generation.
You have a topic for discussion.
And what do you think? My dad's letting Betty and me get material for him on courtesy. Well, we're going to take pictures and everything.
Oh, Tommy Carter, am I interrupting?
No, ma'am. A fine start for a courtesy reporter.
Refer to your printed list for references. You will find all of these books in the library.
Discourtesy right off the bat.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, get that.
Don't bother, I can pick them up.
Oh, I don't mind.
Thank you.
That's perfectly all right.
Say, if we find some more cases like that, our side of the argument is cinched. I wonder where you go to look for courtesy.
I don't know.
I beg your pardon. I'm so sorry.
Excuse me. I'm the courtesy reporter for the National City News. Do you object if my sister snaps a picture?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, get it.
Courtesy reporter, huh?
Say, that little girl ran into you. Why did you apologize to her?
Because I enjoy being a gentleman.
Oh, enjoy being... Say, that's great.
What do you say we get something to eat? I'm so hungry.
Okay, let's go in the restaurant in the department store.
May I help you?
Oh, thank you so much.
What did you snap that for? After all, it's courtesy, isn't it? All right, but that won't do us much good. We're supposed to find examples of courtesy among the older generation. Oh, we'll get 'em, we'll get 'em. Wait a minute, what's that? Come on.
Say, what's the big idea? Where do you think you're going anyway? Why don't you take a day off and learn how to drive? It's guys like you that cause all the accidents. Well, say something. Yeah, you big lumbering taxi cab driver. Why don't you say something? You can't say anything. You know you can't. It was your fault all the time. Well, you ought to be reported.
Hey, miss, how about a little service?
I tried to get you on the telephone, but I couldn't. I just wanted to tell you that...
That's mighty funny.
Henry, did you say you did or did not like my new hat?
I haven't heard.
Henry, the neighbors tell me you're getting gray.
Gray? Oh, I'm sorry, dear.
Thank you.
Oh, 2 apple pies a la mode and 2 glasses of milk, please. Hey, that's good. There is no substitute for our courtesy. I have an idea. Let's see the manager of the store.
Maybe we should talk to other businessmen, too. But let's eat our pie first.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bailey, just what part does courtesy play in the success of this business?
It plays a very important part.
Well, how?
Well, in this day of keen competition, we look for every possible means to bring the customer back.
Is courtesy the best way to do this, Mr. Bailey?
It most certainly is. It's not only the golden rule, it's the rule of gold. Courtesy is the law and the profits. Profits.
Oh, that's good.
Others may equal our prices in service, but no one can exceed our courtesy.
One more question, Mr. Bailey. Can management show the same courtesy to employees that is demanded from them?
Doesn't courtesy beget courtesy?
Yes. One of those, please.
Will there be anything else?
No, thank you.
5 cents out of a dime. Thank you very much. Please come in again.
Will you help me with this, please?
Can't you see I'm busy?
Get that.
You clumsy ox. Why don't you look where you're going?
May I help you, please?
I'd like a package of gum.
I wonder what Mr. Bailey would say if he saw that.
Don't worry, I know all about
Now
Suppose I do pull something off. What right have you got to make public property out of something that doesn't concern you?
Please.
Why
don't you come into my office tomorrow and we'll discuss the matter?
All right, I will.
Good night.
Why will people speak and act over the telephone as they never would face to face?
That I don't know. By the way, how did Tom and Betty make out today?
They've taken their new assignments very seriously. They worked all afternoon.
Oh, say, Dad, may I have $1 on account?
On account?
On account of we're going to the movies.
Movies? What about your assignment? Is your story ready for tomorrow?
No, but we'll finish it after the show.
We have to cover courtesy from both sides, you know. Work and play.
Well, all right.
Well, this is expense money, Dad. You know, company business.
Okay. Wait. Just a minute. If it is company business, you'd better have your camera and notebook.
Oh, yes. Camera and notebook.
There's 2 over there.
Good.
I'm worried.
Why?
We told Dad that the younger generation is more courteous than the older.
This isn't very good evidence, then.
And what do you think? My dad's letting Betty and me get material for him on courtesy. Well, we're going to take pictures and everything.
Oh, Tommy Carter, am I interrupting?
No, ma'am. A fine start for a courtesy reporter. Don't have a heart, sis. If you show that to Dad, I'm sunk. Here, ditch it. Here they come.
Well, Cubs, are you ready to prove your point?
Well, Dad, we figured this way. You see, we have a good story.
Well, I expect you have. Did you prove your point, Mac?
Well, Chief, I don't know, you see.
Well, how about you, Betty?
Well, we were undecided about that, too, but we have some good evidence. That is, we think so.
Of young people?
Not 100% minors.
Oh, you're not quite certain then.
No. Well, what did you get, Mac?
Well, here are a few shots.
Oh, what's this one?
Well, that one isn't so good, Chief. But now here's one that's really terrific. We were right on the spot when that happened.
Say, what's the big idea? Where do you think you're going anyway? Why don't you take a day off and learn how to drive? It's guys like you that cause all the accidents. Well, say something. Yeah, you big lumbering taxi cab driver. Why don't you say something? That causes all the accidents. You can't say anything. You know you can't. It was your fault all the time. Why, you ought to be reported. Yeah, you big numbskull taxi cab driver. I don't see how you got the job in the first place.
Have you finished?
Yeah.
Weren't you in the right-hand lane?
Yes.
And you were trying to make a left-hand turn, weren't you?
No. Well, yes, but you see...
And you didn't put out your hand, did you?
No, but I was going to.
That's 3 things you didn't do. Are you still certain it was my fault?
Well, I was in a hurry.
I know. But as long as there was no damage done, why don't we just forget about it?
Okay. I'm sorry.
Are you engaged, young man?
No, ma'am.
Say, that's great.
Oh, you think so, Tom?
Mm-hmm. Dad, regardless of age, are people courteous just because they're ladies and gentlemen?
Well, isn't that what we're trying to decide? Let's see what you have.
All right. Here. This one is rather general, but it has some good points.
Hey, miss. How about a little service?
I tried to get you on the telephone, but I couldn't. I just wanted to tell you that...
That's mighty funny.
Henry, did you say you did or did not like my new hat?
I haven't heard.
Henry, the neighbors tell me you're getting gray.
Gray? Oh, I'm sorry, dear.
Can you imagine us saying a thing like that?
Are you sure she said it?
Well, I ought to be. I overheard every word of it. Wasn't that terrible?
I still think it's a matter of opinion.
What were you trying to prove by this, Tom?
Oh, many things. Can't you tell?
That will take some analyzing.
Here.
This one's amusing. What is it?
Don't you think it's important to watch people at play?
Well, that all depends. Tell me about it.
I think I'll take my coat off, too.
Okay.
Oh, my purse.
I sure hate coming in after the picture started, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Have some candy?
Oh, thanks. Oh, I've seen this before. I know what happens in the beginning.
Yeah?
That fellow on the screen's a lug.
Good.
But don't worry about that. He ends up in the jug.
That's swell.
Oh, gee, this candy's good.
Sure. Have some more?
Yeah. Oh, there goes my purse.
Hey, just a minute. I'll get it for you.
Gee. Oh. Oh, dear. Oh, my comb. There it is.
Oh,
people inclined to be less courteous at play than they are at work?
Before we talk about that, Dad, can we please look at this next one?
Oh, yes. Mr. Bailey has some good slogans in his office and all over the store. Here, listen to some of these. Courtesy is the golden rule and the rule of gold. Here's another one. There is no price tag on our courtesy. How do you like those?
Not bad.
Oh, that's very good.
Well, in this day of keen competition, we look for every possible means to bring the customer back.
Is courtesy the best way to do this, Mr. Bailey?
It most certainly is. It's not only the golden rule, it's the rule of gold. Courtesy is the law and the profits. Profits.
Oh, say, that's good.
Others may equal our prices in service, but no one can exceed our courtesy.
That's very good. Mr. Bailey is an extremely busy man.
Mr. Bailey said, courtesy brings business because it is the best policy.
This sales girl was very polite to Tom and me, and yet was she really a lady?
Will there be anything else?
No, thank you.
5 cents off the dime. Thank you very much. Please come in again.
Will you help me with this, please?
Can't you see I'm busy?
Boom.
You clumsy ox. Why don't you look where you're going? May I help you, please?
Well, I think you've all done a splendid job, but
But what, Dad?
well, weren't we trying to discover whether the younger generation is more courteous than the older?
Yes, but is that so important now, Chief?
Here's another one, Dad.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I'm so sorry.
Excuse me. I'm the courtesy reporter for the National City News. Do you object if my sister snaps a picture?
Oh, not at all.
Get it.
Not at all. Courtesy reporter, huh?
Say, that little girl ran into you. Why did you apologize to her?
Because I enjoy being a gentleman.
What do you think that proves?
It proves he is a gentleman just because he is a gentleman.
But these other people, are they courteous because they're ladies and gentlemen? If that's true, what about people who are discourteous?
Is courtesy the final measure of a lady or a gentleman? After all, that is a very important question, isn't it?
And then it just kind of ends. Hey, this is Skip Alzheimer. Welcome. Wow, when is the up with the light? What's going on here? I'm all greenish. Anyways, I'm Skip Alzheimer of AV Geeks. Welcome to our Memorial Day screening lunchtime event. We are entering week 11 of doing this. I collect old educational films, and I'm delighted to show them to folks like you every day at lunch, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time. So today is Memorial Day, and I do have one film that's related to Memorial Day. I could have done a whole show about Memorial Day films, but it's a solemn thing. It's not just a reason to sell mattresses or have a parade, but this is a film that was made during World War II, toward the end of World War II, and it was made to sell war bonds. So this is Freedom Comes High.
Rhoda. Sorry to be so late.
Land's sakes, Miss Blanding. You are late.
How's the baby?
Not a sound. Run off to sleep like a lamb. You look as if you could do with a little sleep yourself.
Yes, we had an extra shipment at the plant today. That always means double work.
I don't know how you do it. Well, you eat everything I've put out for you and you'll feel better.
Thanks, Rhoda, I shall.
And there's something on the mantel that'll make you feel better, too.
I was thinking the other day of the time I asked you to marry me. Do you remember how your father was looking for his pipe while you played his favorite tune?
Hanged if I know where it is.
It's probably in your den in the pipe rack where it belongs.
That's probably why I couldn't find it.
Oh, please don't stop. I'm going to ask you something. If the answer is yes, just keep on playing. If the answer is no, stop.
Yes, Stephen?
I've been thinking, maybe you've noticed. Well, in any case, it occurred to me that... Ellen, will you marry me? Such a contrast to the way we're living down here. No time for anything but work. How much longer to get this stuff aboard, Alan?
About a half hour, sir.
Very well. As soon as you're squared away, give him a breather.
Aye, sir. Are you expecting something special?
Why don't you ask the captain? Here he is.
Want something, Alan?
Oh, no, sir.
All the ammunition aboard?
The last load's coming aboard now, sir.
Good. Oh, how's the fever, Steve?
Going down a bit, I think.
You think?
I'm all right, sir.
You think you're able to make this run? It may be tough.
I've been counting on it, sir.
Tell Jacobs I want to see him.
Aye, aye, sir.
I guess you'll make it all right.
This means tonight's the night. I'd like to have a few minutes, sir, before I dispatch a mail boat.
Sure, Steve. Go ahead.
Darling, things are happening I wish I could talk about. Tonight, I have the same feelings I had the night I decided to go.
But, Steve, this is a young man's war.
Well, I've always considered myself a well-preserved old man.
Oh, stop joking. How about your job? Isn't that important?
Yeah, sure, it's important. But there are plenty of other fellows who can do it.
I guess you're right, Steve. It's just that I want you here so much.
I know how you feel, honey. Because I feel the same way. But with my training, the Navy needs me. You may not hear from me for some time, but you'll be in my thoughts wherever I am.
Looks like your range is opening up a little, Hall.
Aye, sir.
Where are we now, Steve?
Right here, sir.
We should be there in about 35 minutes.
Yes, sir.
All hands. All hands. This is the captain speaking. We are now in enemy waters, looking for the Kobe Express. There may be some large ships in it. We hope to find them. When we do, I know you'll do all that's expected of you. Surface contact bearing 285 true, range 10-000. Aye, aye. Captain, surface contact bearing 285, range 10-000.
Steve, that's the Express. Commence tracking.
All ships, this is 3-3. Enemy contacted bearing 285, range 10-000.
All ships from Division Commander, I'm changing course to 265. Prepare to fire torpedoes.
That puts us into 65-50. Captain, that course puts us well within effective range.
Left standard rudder, come to course 265.
Come to course 265.
Prepare to fire torpedoes to starboard. Half salvo, broadside fire.
Prepare to fire torpedoes to starboard, half salvo, broadside fire.
Fire torpedoes when ready.
Fire torpedoes when ready.
Fire 1. Fire 2.
Stand by to fire main battery. Our target is the third ship.
All torpedoes fired.
Left-handed rudder.
Left-handed rudder.
I'm going to steady down so you can start firing.
Steady as you go. Steady as you go. Gunnery officer reports at least 2 large ships on starboard bow. Ship bearing 040. That was a big one. Too damn big. Take over, Jacobs. Yes. Got it bad, sir.
It's all yours, Steve.
Yes, sir. Get the captain to the doctor. Call the repair party. Captain's been hit. Get a couple of men. Engine room. Is everything all right? Good. Have you got control?
I think so.
Steady as she goes.
Steady as she goes.
Owen, are you all right?
Yes, sir.
Enemy cruiser ahead, sir. Control, this is Blanding. Commence firing on searchlight. Jacobs, give me a hand on the bridge. Tell torpedo officer to stand by the bound cruiser. What are we going to do? Get out of here? Nothing doing. We're going in. We don't get a chance like this very often. But that's suicide. Torpedo officer, target is cruiser on starboard bow. Fire when ready. Torpedoes fired, sir. Left full rudder. Left full rudder, sir. Tell engine room to give us all they got. Engine room, give us all you've got. That ought to do it all right. They'll have to do some fancy dodging to miss those fish. We'll be out of range in a few minutes now.
in kind of a hurry. Horace's lodge night.
Of course, Rhoda. I hope I didn't keep you waiting.
Oh, no. The baby's fine, your dinner's in the oven, and there's something on the mantel. Good night.
I'm sure you'll understand that whatever I do for you and the baby is more important right now than anything else in the world. The value of these things can't be measured in ordinary ways, but must be paid for in dollars and cents, and sometimes in lives. Freedom comes high. No matter what happens, I shall always be with you.
Oh, good evening, Mrs. Blanding. It's a telegram. It's from the Navy Department.
Yes, I know.
Are you sure you'll be all right?
Yes, I'll be all right. Yes, Stephen, my darling. We'll be all right.
So that was Freedom Comes High. That was made by the U.S. Navy, and it was very theatrical. I mean, it's basically a little mini war picture, little narrative. And the gist of it was to invest in war bonds. They would do a campaign, and they would show this in movie theaters as a short before they showed the main picture, before they showed the newsreels. And they would also show this at civic groups. But the idea is that we are empathetic to the Blandings and empathetic to the sacrifice that Mr. Blanding made. And that's what Memorial Day is kind of all about. It's about recognizing the sacrifices that people made for war and honoring them, and also trying to be supportive and be empathetic. That's what it's about. It's not about you, it's about us. And so that's my little soapbox thing. It's about recognizing the loss of others and thinking about what can you do to help. So there you go. It's supposedly, according to the internet, it's National Barbecue Month. I feel like this next PSA says that it's in June, but I could be misremembering it. So here's National Barbecue Month.
Did you ever wonder what it was like in the Old West underneath the open sky? Well, we have, and from time to time, we like to add a Western flavor to entertainment at our house.
I feel like this next PSA says that
I
it's
am
in
Chef
June,
Michael
but I could
Tondo,
be misremembering
Honorary
it. So
Chairman
here's
of National Barbecue Month. I invite all of you
Did
to
you
join
ever
me
wonder
for the
what
month
it's
of
like
July
in the
for
Old West
barbecue.
underneath the open sky?
And as we all
Well-
know, the Old West was a time when men were men and appetites were huge. One of the things that satisfied these appetites was good beef. And one of the ways to cook beefsteak in those colorful times was country style. And that's what we're going to cook today. You start with a good top-round steak, which weighs about 3 pounds and is 3/4 of an inch thick. This serves 4 people. Top-round steak has no bone, but there is a thin layer of fat on the outside edge which you can easily trim off. Once the steak is trimmed, it's time to add the magic ingredient, the bottled browning sauce, Kitchen Bouquet, which seals in the natural flavors and juices of the meat and gives it a beautiful brown look. Once Kitchen Bouquet is brushed on, using your regular kitchen basting brush. You can then salt and pepper to taste. The meat should be left to sit for about 15 minutes to allow kitchen bouquet to create a seal for the natural meat flavors. When you're doing your own outdoor cooking, there are a few easy tips which will add to your barbecuing enjoyment. First, clean the grill with a good wire brush. Then, when you're ready to start the fire, mound the briquettes in the center of the grill. This will help the flame reach all the charcoal and give you a good even fire. To cook corn on the cob over the coals, remove the husk and silk and wrap in foil with butter and seasoning. Place the foil-wrapped ears on the grill and cook for 7 to 8 minutes, turning each one so it cooks evenly. When all the briquettes are a powdery gray, spread them evenly over the bottom of the barbecue grill. Set the steaks about 4 to 5 inches from the fire and grill one side for about 7 minutes. Then turn the country steak over and cook for 7 minutes more. To add Western zest to your country-style steak, heat up some tasty mushrooms in a small pan placed on the grill. You can do this just before the beef's ready to serve. To get the meat just right, you can press it with the tongs, never a fork, to see how well done it is. Rare meat will feel soft to the touch, and well done will be firm. The reason I never use a fork is that it would pierce the kitchen bouquet flavor seal. One of the secrets of good barbecue cooking is to keep all the juices in, which makes the meat tender and moist. When the meat's ready for serving, cut it at an angle in thin slices across the grain. And don't be afraid to add a generous spoonful of sliced mushrooms, which have been heating in their own butter-enriched sauce. For another Western treat, serve easy-to-prepare barbecue beans. Be sure to serve up the beans in an old-fashioned Western-style bean pot. Carry out your Western theme with bright checkered tablecloths, tin plates and cups, and other decorative touches that create a chuckwagon atmosphere. Western barbecues are always fun. Try one yourself. I'm sure your family and guests will agree it's a great way to celebrate National Barbecue Month. If you'd like a free booklet of my recipes to help you and your family celebrate during National Barbecue Month and all through the year, write to me, Chef Michael Tondo, in care of this program.
Okay, there's some problems here. The first thing is country-style steak is very different in North Carolina. I feel like it's breaded. I could be confusing it with chicken-style steak, but in the South, that is not country-style steak. The other thing is, in North Carolina and many southern states, barbecue is a noun and not a verb. So barbecue in North Carolina is pulled pork that is smoked and is either served with a vinegar-based sauce if you're in eastern North Carolina, or in Western style is a kind of tomato-based vinegar sauce. And then if you're in South Carolina, it's mustard. So there's lots of problems with this barbecue month thing. And I feel like that was an ad for that weird flavoring, kitchen bouquet. That stuff that you just, and here's the flavor we're just going to smear on here. So, yeah. I hope you have a good barbecue. This next film I love, of course, because one, it's beautiful. Two, it is assembly line-ish. It is manufacturing footage. And it's related to a film that I showed a couple of weeks ago called Plastics. This is blow molding. Enjoy.
The blow molding process for the production of hollow articles was early recognized as a natural application for an extrusion machine. But the problem was matching an intermittently operating blow molding machine to a continuously operating extruder. Initial attempts resulted in slow paraffin delivery. Since uniform wall products require fast paraffin delivery, First attempts led to attaching a pot-type accumulator to the extruder. Extruders could now operate continuously, and material could move across and out of the dies at a high rate of speed. In these facilities at F.J. Stokes, researchers recognized the disadvantages of the accumulator. The plunger was a source of leakage, scuffing of the material caused streaking in the end product, the accumulator was difficult to clean, color changes were impractical, and the extruder thrust bearings were subject to heavy loads. This is the newest in the Stokes line of blow molding equipment, encompassing a unique reciprocating screw extruder, a dual manifold equipped with dual parazins for each end of the crosshead, and a two-station 2.5-ton clamp press section. Through pioneering efforts in injection molding, Stokes has developed a reciprocating screw which is an ideal solution to the blow molding extrusion problem. Because the system is in line, there's no point of hang-up, and purging or changing from one color to another is simply and easily done. Designed as an integrated unit, this team assures high production at a minimum investment. Only one of the many blow molding teams currently available from Stokes. Let us take a trip along with a scoop of linear polyethylene from a shipping bag to the finished quart container. The material in the hopper is normally at room temperature. The plastic granules are fed to the screw, which carries them through the heated barrel where the pellets reach the viscous state. The engineering roadmap illustrates the movement of the granules. Material temperatures are controlled by the heating bands on the cylinder and by the speed of rotation of the screw. For the extrusion of different types of materials, various screw designs are available. As the screw turns, the material is forced toward the right end of the barrel. Since the material cannot go past the rotary valve shown at the front end of the barrel, the screw itself is forced to move to the left, thereby pushing the shooting cylinder to the rear. When the screw is in its fully retracted position, the rotary valve opens a port into one arm of the dual manifold. Immediately, the shooting cylinder rams the screw forward, forcing the heated plastic through the crosshead where it is extruded. Since the extruded tube tends to neck down from gravity, the parazin must be produced as rapidly as possible. As soon as the parazin is delivered, the mold closes and the tube is inflated with air until it conforms to the chilled mold. During the cooling time, the flow of plastic from the extruder is automatically delivered to the other manifold. After cooling, the mold opens and the parts are ejected either manually or automatically. Just ahead of the shooting cylinder on the left is the hydraulic motor and gearbox which drives the rotation of the screw. The gearbox has a splined hollow shaft to permit the screw to reciprocate through the gearbox. The actuator assembly demonstrates the action of the rotary valve. When the valve is centered and both of the ports to the manifold are blocked, no plastic materials can flow through the valve, and any extrusion that takes place forces the screw to the rear. Now the rotary actuator turns and the left port into the crosshead is open. The screw is reciprocated forward and material surges through the valve and manifold to the crosshead. To maintain uniform flow, an additional valve is placed in each of the crossheads. Material flows through the second valve and around the mandrel to the tips and die at the rate of 1,200 pounds per hour, or 1 pound in 3 seconds with this team. Here, the left-hand mold opens and finished bottles are removed. Now the valve rotates and the parazin is delivered. The mold clamps shut and cooling begins. With the valve in a neutral position, the reciprocating screw returns to its full charge position. The extruder valve shifts and plastic material is delivered to the right-hand mold. At the closing of the mold over the parazin, the screw again recharges. Our scoopful of plastic granules required approximately 48 seconds to travel from the feed hopper to the front end of the barrel where the homogeneous material was extruded through the manifold. Had the granules been colored, a color change would now be apparent. Notice the small variation that exists between the two parazins as they're extruded from the crossheads. This is an excellent indication of the consistency and uniformity of the plasticized material. The easily accessible control instrumentation and the complete absence of a separate drive unit or belts are outstanding features of this Stokes blow molding plant. Temperature control instruments are mounted on the frame of the machine with special attention paid to shock mounting. The pump motor is on the right, and the panel-mounted valves for the control of the rotation and reciprocating of the screw are in the center. The pressure gauge is provided with a shutoff valve. An ammeter. All are standard equipment. When removing the screw for the extrusion of different materials, it is only necessary to swing the crosshead aside and push out the screw with the hydraulic cylinder. On the reciprocating shaft, a special rotary joint permits water cooling of the screw. Readily apparent is the open construction of the Stokes blow molder for the fast removal of blow molded parts. No tie bars clutter the front of the mold, and the bottom area of the machine is completely open to accommodate conveyors for part removal. Complete flexibility of automatic or manual operation is provided on the centrally mounted control. As an illustration of the effectiveness of the inline accumulator, we're demonstrating the standard rate of extrusion from a 2.5-inch extruder. Now observe what the reciprocating screw extruder adds to blow molding production. Rapid parazin delivery reduces necking down, thus improving product quality and reducing mold open time. Inline construction has eliminated the need for thrust bearings, and with this new Stokes unit, all of the advantages of an accumulator without the disadvantages are available through the unimpeded linear flow of plasticized material. The self-purging feature of the reciprocating screw is a real plus. Note the many blow-molded items made from polyethylene, polyvinyl chloride, polypropylene, and other materials. There's a Stokes blow molding team ideally suited for handling these materials for various industrial, toy, and houseware markets. Ask which team best fits your needs.
So to reiterate, I love films like that because one, it shows the manufacturing process, but two, it is filled, absolutely filled with terminology that I have no idea what it's about. And so it's kind of dipping my toe into plastic extrusion with a blow molder. Big fan. And the color in that was just so good. That was a Kodachrome. So really, the dyes just stay still. And so everything is vivid blue and just really beautiful. This next film is this is something that Melissa Dahlman, my guest on Friday, wanted to show, but we ran out of time. This is a AAA film. Is made in the 70s. You'll notice it's black and white because back in the day, before we knew how to color correct, if we couldn't get the colors to come out, if it was vivid red, then we would just make it black and white. So this is visual perception, eye habits. And there's a loose link here because it involves this crazy machinery apparatus. So enjoy.
As we drive along a typical highway at 40 to 50 miles an hour, more information floods in on us in a few minutes than is put into a computer for the launching of a space vehicle. The faster we go, the more information we must see, identify, and interpret, and the more decisions we must make on what we see or think we see. In big city driving, we may face 200 traffic events and have to make at least 20 decisions per mile. An inexperienced driver will make at least one error every 2 miles. Most of our driving information is collected by our eyes. About 90% of our impressions of the driving scene are visual. The eye is something like a camera which takes snapshots, transmitting separate images to the brain in rapid succession. But the eye is also different from the camera because it collects information in 2 special ways. Our central or foveal vision is a narrow 3-degree cone in the central part of our sight. Central vision is important in how we learn to estimate distance and how we read details in the traffic scene. The experienced driver focuses his attention down the road, along his line of central vision, where objects appear almost stationary, establishing an intended path of travel. The good driver's attention is focused on the selection of details in the traffic scene and on the distance between his car and objects ahead. In addition to our central vision, we also experience peripheral or side vision. Side vision is not as sharp as central vision, but it is more sensitive to light and movement. It helps us detect important information coming into the traffic scene, even though we are not looking directly at such objects. However, the useful effect of our side vision decreases as the speed of our vehicle increases. The eye is the main source of driver information, and driver errors are often the result of poor eye habits.
Oh, Ralph, you missed the turn.
Oh, I know.
The driver we just saw became confused because he was unable to process the information he needed in time to execute a safe maneuver. We know that for the most part, driving is a task of information processing. A driver receives information from several senses. Of these senses, vision accounts for more than 90% of the information input. In order for us to learn what visual cues are used in driving, we must be able to describe the driver's visual search process.
How visual information is gathered by the eye in driving has been studied by means of an eye movement recording system developed at the Driving Performance Laboratory at The Ohio State University. As this driver scans the traffic scene, a spot of light reflected from her eye is superimposed over a recorded image of the driving situation. This spot shows us where the driver is looking, or fixating. Research confirms the fact that our eyes move in a series of rapid, jerky movements. Between each movement, the eye pauses for a fraction of a second and then darts to another part of the scene. These pauses are known as fixations. It is during these brief periods of fixation that the eye gathers visual information. Eye fixations are very rapid, lasting only about 1/10 to 3/10 of a second. In heavy traffic, a driver can afford to spend less than a second total time in viewing traffic signs and signals. High accident rates are common on curves. The eye habits of the experienced driver begin to operate several seconds before the curve is reached. This driver is selecting the important clues: the curvature of the road, the condition of the berm or shoulder, and other traffic. He uses the lane lines in close to his car to maintain proper lane position. And he looks ahead as far as possible to maintain his intended path of travel. In a merging situation, experienced drivers maintain lane position by glancing to the right side of the road, always coming back to the intended path of travel. Good drivers start sampling the mainstream 10 seconds before reaching the merging point. With experience, some driving tasks do not require that every fixation be directed only to essential traffic information. This driver, for example, selects a visual target, but is still able to maintain control of his vehicle with very brief glances at his intended path of travel, proving the importance of side vision in driving. This driver was told to fixate on the car to his right, while maintaining proper distance behind the car directly ahead. As the eye spot movement shows, this experienced driver is able to follow the car in front without looking directly at it. Tired or fatigued drivers tend to fixate lower and to the right, often looking directly at the road surface. Eye movements also show the effect of alcohol on driving. This sober driver fixes his attention on the car at the left. A driver under the influence of alcohol fixates straight ahead, without noticing anything to the sides of his intended path of travel. He has developed a fixed stare. How do new drivers learn to search? Student drivers at The Ohio State University show different search patterns than those of experienced drivers. They go through a 3-stage development. In the first stage, beginning drivers show an active search pattern with many fixations, often on unimportant clues. In the second stage, new drivers show an in-out pattern, sharing their fixations for near lane position with glances ahead. In the third stage, we find the normal pattern of experienced drivers who fixate far ahead, using their side vision for lateral position information. How can we reach this third stage? How can we improve our visual habits in driving? First, concentrate on your intended path of travel. The skillful driver moves in the traffic stream with a space margin in front, behind, and to each side of his car. He uses his central vision to get details of the scene and to estimate distances. Second, look well ahead. Aim high in steering. Give yourself a visual lead time of at least 12 seconds to the vehicle ahead of you. That's about 1 city block at about 30 miles an hour. 2 city blocks if you're doing 55. Third, keep your eyes moving constantly. Scanning helps you gather more information and prevents you from developing a fixed stare, or the blank stare that comes from thinking about things which take your attention away from the driving scene. Scanning also means checking your rear vision and side vision mirrors in quick glances, once every block at least, or every 5 seconds in heavy traffic. Because of the blind spots to your rear and to your right, head checks are an important part of the scanning process. Always turn your head in the direction or lane you plan to move into whenever you change your intended path of travel. Never rely on the rear vision mirrors alone. And always return your central vision to your intended path of travel. Use your side vision for information along the edges of the traffic scene. Remember, concentrate on your intended path of travel. Look well ahead. And keep your eyes moving, constantly scanning the traffic scene, getting the big picture. In an increasingly complex traffic scene, your life and the lives of others depends upon improving your eye habits in driving.
That was awesome. That device that people were wearing that was monitoring their position of their pupil and then superimposing it on the 16 millimeter camera, just really quite something. And a couple of people noticed that was in Columbus, home of the Ohio State University. It's funny that they had to add that article. This next film is an interesting film because it looks like it's a newsreel, but it's really just a bunch of ads, human interest ads. And so I'm not sure if this would have been shown on television or, in the theater, or I'm not 100% sure. And I'm trying to remember where I got this from. I feel like I got this as part of a bunch of the films that I got. I'll tell you what, I'll do some research while we watch this, but this is called Cavalcade, and I have a couple of versions of Cavalcade, including, I have this on 35 millimeter. So here's Cavalcade.
This twisted, tornado-racked pile of steel was a microwave radio relay tower, a vital link in our nation's complex telephone network. Minutes after the tower was felled by a tornado, service was restored by switching calls to alternate routes of the network. But a temporary tower must be erected and quickly. The chances of a microwave tower being knocked out are very slim. However, to assure the fastest restoration of any of its 2,500 towers, the Bell system conducts emergency full-scale tower replacement exercises.
Kurt, this is an exercise. This is an exercise. You have lost the Holden Tower.
A new tower rolls to its emergency destination. At the site, bearings are taken to determine the replacement tower's position. As the pre-packaged equipment arrives, anchor holes for the tower supports are dug. The arrival time is early morning. Before afternoon has passed, the crew expects to have a 125-foot temporary tower up and operating. The new microwave link will receive signals from adjacent towers some 30 miles away. technicians pinpoint the incoming signal.
Take it to the left. Left. Left a little more. Left. Easy. Whoa, he's right on frequency.
Communications are restored. Television programs, telephone calls, and data are going through. This one was for practice. The next one might not be. For crews like this, the big task is keeping the nation's communications flowing. Man, since he could stand, has looked up, and the universe has fascinated stargazers from Galileo to Gemini to garden astronomers. Today's amateur stargazers spend over $5 million annually to peek into the heavens. How do you begin? The first step is to consult a qualified person for help in choosing the right kind of equipment. There's something special for everything from bird watching to satellite spotting. These prism binoculars, for example, are excellent for wildlife watching, but also have the 10 to 20 power magnification necessary to explore distant forms and shapes. A good telescope for beginners is this refractor model, which really brings Mars close. It has that effect on fathers and sons as well. As the hobbyist's interest grows, he may graduate to this equatorial telescope, which allows him to photograph the stars and planets through its lens. Through giant instruments like the one on Mount Palomar, the shifting rings of Saturn remain a quest of science. The mountains and craters of the moon are of increasing interest. Before long, a manned spacecraft from Earth will set down on the sandy surface, and a new era in man's achievements will be born. Why the upsurge of interest in the heavens? Could it be that someone's up there looking back? Behind the wheel of the car we're driving, we're in a world of ergonomics. How we react to technical design is the study of ergonomics, and it's part of driving an automobile safer than ever before. A growing nucleus of auto manufacturers feels that the safety of a motor car is deeply rooted in its basic engineering design. One such manufacturer is the British firm that produces the Rover 2000. You won't find a safety engineer here because the company regards all its engineers as safety engineers, and their car is cited by experts as one of the safest anywhere. The underlying philosophy is that a safe car is a well-engineered car with concepts that begin on the drawing boards. A car is made up of many systems, and how well it operates depends on how well these systems work together. Hours of testing are required, and many prototypes are developed before the final model reaches the production line. De Dion rear suspension, radio-plied tires, and disc brakes provide a first-rate combination of handling, road holding, and stopping. All are highly important innovations in the industry, but when they're together in one automobile, as in this Rover, the driver really has something going for him. The driver's ability to handle his vehicle has brought about research in ergonomics. Some results include orthopedically designed seats, strip-type speedometers for rapid reading, controls that can be operated without error, without looking. For the driver's comfort, face-level, fresh air ducts. There are no shortcuts to safer automobiles. Indeed, experience has shown the true safety features are designed in long before the prototype rolls out. The Earth's resources provide man the substance with which he refines his world. It takes about 2 tons of ore to make a single pig of lead. A curious paradox, this pig of lead. While one of our most heavy metals, it is also one of the softest, which makes it one of the easiest to process, to melt, cast, roll, extrude, or drop to form shot. Lead has a remarkable range of uses, often in the most unlikely situations. A vital aid in the transmission of electric power, lead is also a prime ingredient in portable electric power, storage batteries. Power from lead-acid batteries moves this delivery truck and turns this hand tool. Yet, lead can work against the flow of electricity. When added to glass, it becomes an insulator of high density and high electrical resistance. This is why most light bulb bases and neon tubing are made from lead glass. The very idea of lead in glass seems contradictory. Nonetheless, this goblet of lead crystal was made in England by George Ravenscroft back in the year 1675. Lead glass today protects against penetrating X-rays, and lead containers shield against radioisotopes and other fissionable materials. Philharmonic Hall in New York's Lincoln Center rests on lead pads that dull the vibrations from subway trains. This dullness carries through to its gray color, yet lead compounds appear in every brilliant hue. Widely used in decorating, they contribute to our sense of aesthetics. Wherever man's achievements, they reveal special properties that are the paradox of lead. In this picturesque countryside, farming is a leading occupation. But this farm is strictly for the birds. Nearly 25,000 ostriches are kept in this unusual farming region in South Africa's Cape Province. Although nature has given the ostrich wings that are not suitable for flying, it's in these inadequate appendages that the farmer invests. Ostrich feathers are highly prized in the millinery and garment industry. A fully grown bird carries feathers worth up to $20, and they're clipped every 9 months. Specially selected birds are chosen for breeding. The eggs hatch out at about 6 weeks. Ostrich chicks are very delicate up to the age of 3 months, but they grow fast and yield quality feathers at 6 months. Recently, this farming region at Oudtshoorn was the site of the first ostrich race meeting ever to be held in South Africa. In true racing tradition, the birds display their colors. Like all good athletes, they limber up prior to the competition. As the race draws near, tension builds in the paddock. Enter the jockeys and their first of many formidable assignments this day, to locate their mount and mount if possible. At last, the winged thoroughbreds are at the gate. They're off. A clean break for what looks to be a fast field. Churchill Downs was never like this. Down the straightaway at 30 miles per hour as excitement builds with each skillful maneuver. Into the home stretch and flying the orange and white, it's Lumbago Alley. What else from an ostrich named Lumbago?
That ostrich racing is quite something. Actually, that whole film is really quite amazing. It was distributed by Sterling Films, and they actually made it. And Sterling Films made industrial films, but also educational films. And I did some research to see where I got this from, and it was from someone who basically pulled them out of a dumpster. And I got a bunch of other advertising-related films from there, and also some odd films that were distributed. It was like a film library. So this was something that was probably made for promotional purposes and ended up at a film library where people could rent them for either free or for postage or for a small fee, and they would show it to their civic organizations. But this was definitely sponsored by lots of different entities. So it was sponsored by Bell. It was sponsored by whoever makes the rover. I missed who the company was, the European company. I think Sears was the ones for the telescopes. I'm doing this all based on memory, and I was also looking things up, and I miss some of the key points. But I think the ostrich thing is just for general human interest. And the lead was obviously something that was by a lead manufacturer or lead manufacturing association. I actually have quite a few films about lead, including one that's like, I think 40 minutes long. It's called The Story of Lead. And on YouTube for a while, it was really popular. People were watching it, and I could not figure out why, because it was very dry. It basically just shows how lead is mined and processed, purified. But for some reason it just went viral. And that's why I love putting stuff up on YouTube, because we never know where that weird niche is. And that's why I appreciate you guys joining me on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and Periscope and Twitter and all these other places. Very much appreciate you watching and commenting and spending this time together. And I hope that you guys have a really good rest of the day. Some of you have the day off, which is awesome. And take some time and relax and be kind to your friends and to your foes. And I will join you again tomorrow, and we will watch some more amazing films. We are so close to 300 films. I thought we were going to make it today, but tomorrow we'll have watched 300 films. And so everybody have a good rest of the day, and we will talk soon. Take care.